Alone in his moment of triumph, Hedin craved adulation on an even larger stage. It was a path that would ultimately end in tragedy. In 1914, Europe slipped into World War. As the conflict intensified, Sven Hedin headed for the front line as a war correspondent for the German High Command.
There are many reasons why Sven Hedin supported Germany throughout his life. Germany, the scientific community always supported him. He came from a background in Stockholm where one always were close to the Germans. So that was a natural thing. But the really decisive factor was his belief in geopolitics.
Like many Swedes, Hedin believed that Germany was the only power capable of protecting Sweden from a Russian invasion. When Germany lost the war, Allied countries like England and France retracted the honors they'd bestowed on him. Hedin was on the wrong side. He would defiantly stay there for the rest of his life. Unperturbed, the explorer focused on writing books about his previous expeditions. In 1920, Mille got back in touch with him.
They had had some meetings. She had children, and she wrote a letter to him that she could never forget him. He was the love of her life, and couldn't they get back together? And he wrote back that, you know, what is done is done. Never turn back. 1,000 heavy steps towards the goal, but not one backwards.
Hedin returned to Central Asia, the region he now called his frozen bride.
She has held me captive in her cold embrace, and out of jealousy would not let me love any other. And I have been faithful to her. That is certain.
Hedin's new project was to draw up maps for a revolutionary new Silk Road. A massive motorway that would run 5,000 miles from Peking all the way to Vienna. Hedin's pioneering maps were the basis for the overland highway that today links Asia with Europe.
This highway should unite two continents, Asia and Europe, two cultures, the Chinese and the Western.
Sven Hedin, the man who had rediscovered the Silk Road 40 years earlier, had now given it a new lease of life. The world-famous explorer now gambled his celebrity on a highly controversial cause. Hedin's achievements had attracted influential admirers. One was Adolf Hitler.
There was a special relation between Sven Hedin and Adolf Hitler, who had only had two heroes in his life, and one of them was Sven Hedin. It was Sven Hedin's stories what had kind of awakened the young Adolf Hitler to the world. So when they met in the 30s and the beginning of the 40s, Hitler wanted to talk about all the heroic things that Sven Hedin had done.
Hedin, the attention seeker, was flattered. In 1936, he gave the opening speech at the Olympic Games in Berlin. For Hedin, Germany had always been a symbol of honor and discipline. He would refuse to see that the Third Reich was the cause of the horrors to come. In 1940, an eye disease that plagued Hedin all his life resurfaced, and the explorer went partially blind.
A Norwegian resistance fighter was brought to Sven Hedin to tell him about the torture that he had sustained on the hands of German soldiers. And Sven Hedin couldn't believe him, because it just didn't fit his image of what a German soldier is. And then the resistance man told him that his face was badly scarred. And he took Sven Hedin's hand, and Sven Hedin could feel the scars. And the story goes that Hedin's eyes then were filled with tears, but still he couldn't believe that a German soldier could do something like that.
In 1945, when the atrocities of Hitler's regime were undisputed, Hedin chose to ignore them.
He was always very naively attracted to these men of power, and it's never as glaring as when it comes to Adolf Hitler. Sven Hedin simply didn't want to see that this was an evil man.
1,000 heavy steps towards the goal, not one back.
The motto that led Hedin to triumph in the desert now led him to disgrace in Europe. An unrepentant Nazi sympathizer, Hedin was an international outcast. Banished from the world stage, the defiant explorer wrote about his past in the limelight. Hedin sent a letter to a friend's 15-year-old daughter.
I understand that you will speak at school about my travels in Asia. Greet the deserts and mountains when you speak to them, but tell them that I do not long after them anymore.
After World War II, Hedin never returned to Asia. When the communists seized control of China in 1949, they severed all links with the West. The Silk Road, Hedin's lifelong obsession, was once again abandoned. Sven Hedin died in his sleep in 1952 at the age of 87. By his bed was a photo of his beloved Mille, with an inscription on it.
You have been by my side on all my travels.